Hi and welcome back to my channel. I don't know about you, but I love a good hole-in-the-wall restaurant. Nothing makes me more excited than to find an unknown treasure. And usually these are found in neighborhoods that are a little less trendy. Maybe they're kind of on the wrong side of the tracks. But I'm okay with that. I don't mind traveling for good food. And so I'm going to be sharing with you guys my top 7 hole-in-the-wall restaurants in Indianapolis. I will say you do need to have an adventurous palate to really enjoy all the food that I'm going to share with you, but if that's you, keep watching. So I'm going to share with you guys the list 1 through 7, and they're not in any sort of order, so don't think if the first one I mentioned is better than the 7th or anything like that. They're all really good. All right, so number 1 is PACOS Tacos, which is on Keystone Avenue, so a little bit south of the Broad Ripple area, but before you get to downtown. It's a great small little joint just off the busy street where you can get elote, which is corn, you can get tacos, you can get horchata, you can get so many good Mexican dishes, and it's really cheap and affordable. So one thing to note is they do shout out your order number in Spanish. So if your Spanish is a little rusty, you may want to take some time and make sure that you're familiar with basic numbers so you can get your order. But other than that, it's a great place, very clean. So India Sizzling is a great Indian restaurant in the Lafayette Square area. It's India Sizzling 2, I believe. I have no idea if there's a 1 somewhere. If so, maybe someone tell me. I've only been to this location in the Lafayette Square region, and it is so good. It's pretty legit. I don't know if I've shared this yet, but I lived in India for a year, and I lived in South India. And the food there is very different from the food in the North. And the majority of Indian restaurants typically serve North Indian cuisine. Typically, it's very much for a Western palate at the restaurants, typically around Indianapolis, that doesn't have a lot of flavor, doesn't have a lot of spice. India Sizzling, on the other hand, not the case. It's very traditional to their South Indian roots. When you get the buffet, you also get the choice of dosa and I think appam at the table. And so I would go for the dosa. If you don't know what a dosa is, you need to go and try it out. It's basically a flat, savory pancake with different fillings. I typically get the masala dosa, which is spiced potatoes in the dosa. And so really recommend that, super delicious. You get the dosa for free, you get the buffet. They also have some Indian chai or tea that's available as well. That you can get along with your meal is included, and that's pretty legitimate as well. I would say there are very few Indian restaurants I've gone to in the United States that taste pretty authentic to what I got in India, and India Sizzling is one of them. So number 3 is TAIWAN Tea House, and they serve more than just tea. Most of us know our local Chinese delivery place, which will give you very Americanized Chinese dishes. If you've ever been to Chicago, you may have had a little more kind of legitimate style Chinese food that's going to be from a specific region. Szechuan, Hunan, Hong Kong style. And so that's one thing to note is most Chinese food that we get here is not very authentic. And so if you want to get a better understanding maybe of some Taiwanese style Chinese food, this will be a good place to go. Yes, they're gonna have all the favorites that you know, like General Tso's chicken and whatnot, because they know their Western audience wants to order that. But you also will find some more traditional options. You're gonna find some boba tea there. And so highly recommend going there and trying out a few dishes. All right, so I also wanna share some of my favorites there in case you're wondering what you should order. Maybe you wanna put yourself outside of your comfort zone. And so here are a couple recommendations. One is mapo tofu. Now, some people get scared at the idea of tofu, but in this dish, it's super spicy, it's really flavorful, and I would highly recommend it. Second would be the radish cake. Again, in typical American cuisine, we don't eat a lot of radishes, but here it's quite delicious and it's fried. And then my third recommendation would be for the boba drink. There's so many different flavors you can choose from, and you'll probably see one that says taro. Again, it's not something a lot of Americans are familiar with, and so you might be hesitant because you look at, I think it's similar to a sweet potato, and you might be like, well, that would not taste good, and you cannot be wrong. I actually only became familiar with taro maybe like 2 years ago, but it's actually sweet and has almost a vanilla-like flavor. So if you get that in a boba drink, it is delicious. The one thing to note is that it has this kind of purple color, so it will turn your drink purple, so just be forewarned. All right, number 4 is Heidelberg House off of Pendleton Pike on the east side of town. And so this is a cute little restaurant and bakery that focuses on German cuisine, as if you couldn't tell by the name. And so here you can get cakes like German chocolate cake or Black Forest cake, as it's called sometimes. You can get sausages, you can get dark rye bread. Inside, it's kind of kitschy. Some things are a little dusty, but it's a family-owned restaurant. It's really legitimate, based off of real German recipes. And if you're just looking for something different out of the ordinary, it might be a little bit of a drive for some of you, but totally worth it to go down and check it out. I think this is a restaurant that's probably best visited in the winter time, as I think German food is usually the most appealing. You want something hearty when it's cold outside. But again, fun thing to check out really any time of the year. All right, so number 5, we're gonna stick on the east side, and I'm going to talk about Mama's House. And it's again one of my favorite restaurants in all of Indianapolis, and it focuses on Korean food. Again, in case you don't know this little tidbit about me yet, I spent 2 years living in South Korea, and so I really do love Korean food. There's another restaurant, Bando's, on the east side, and that's also good, but Mama's really takes the cake. My favorite thing to get there is their barbecue. You can certainly order soup and other dishes, but the reason you go there is for the barbecue, which you buy the meat, you get all the side dishes kind of for free along with the meal, and then you cook it on an open flame. And it's a great thing to do with a group of friends. Who doesn't like, meat? You're barbecuing, it's delicious. The one thing I will say is if you're a picky eater, this could be a challenge for you, as a lot of those side dishes are going to be things you're not familiar with. So again, this would be for the adventurous at heart that really love Asian food, that really like to try new kinds of food. It's definitely worth it. Even though this is a bit of a hole-in-a-wall restaurant, it's not super nice inside, to be honest. It can be a little pricey. Most of the other hole-in-the-wall restaurants that I've been talking about are on the cheaper side. This one may cost you up to $20 a person, but believe me, you will walk out of there so full, so stuffed, and the food is really great. A little pro tip if you do go, it's a little more Korean style, and the fact that service is not going to be quite as nice as what you're used to in other restaurants. So they're going to be brisk, they're going to be efficient, they're not going to be asking, how are you, would you like anything else? They're going to treat you as if you were in Seoul, and so don't take that the wrong way. They're just trying to make sure they are able to efficiently serve everyone in the restaurant. So if you need something, just holler out like, hey, can I get your attention? They're not going to be offended. That's the best way to get what you need, whether that's more water, more rice, more side dishes, whatever you need. All right, so number 6 is the Tamale place, and they have 2 locations, one on Michigan Avenue and another one in City Market. I love, love, love tamales. They are so labor intensive, it's really difficult to make them. So you're best off always going to a place where you can buy them, and they do them really well. I like to shop for the quality of the food. I think it's really good. It's economical, it's super cheap. I usually like to get an horchata to go along with the tamales, and so it's a very humble place. It's not fancy, but man, you walk in there, you get really good options. The staff is really nice, and so that's why it makes my list as number 6. All right, so rounding out number 7 for my favorite hole-in-the-wall restaurant is going to be MACCHI, PICCU, which is also going to be in the 38th Street area. Not necessarily near Lafayette Street, a little closer to 465, but that general area. And so if you've never had Peruvian food, which most of you probably haven't, I would recommend checking it out. If you're thinking it's going to be like Mexican food, you're totally wrong. Think more almost European meat and potato type food, to be honest. A lot of South America does not have spicy food at all. It is going to be a little more, I would say, European in that matter. But yeah, go online, check out the menu, go there, expand your horizons. One thing that I believe they have that is well known is Inca Cola. So it is a cola very similar to a Coke, but again, it's kind of a well-known thing for South America. And so The fries are good, the meat's good, the Coke is good. Do suggest just checking it out. All right, well, those were my 7 top hole-in-the-wall restaurants in Indianapolis. Let me know if I missed one. Tell me what your favorite one is down in the comments, and maybe I'll have to make a trip and check it out in the coming weeks. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.